Currently, right now, I am doing research under Dr. Miriam Kim. We just started recently, just a couple weeks ago, but looking into synthetic data generation and doing something like that. Yeah, nice to meet you all.
Yes, thank you, Ricky.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Ketan Joshi, and currently I am a associate software engineer at Paramount. So a lot of you may know the Paramount Plus service, the streaming service. So that's competing in the streaming war. So that's essentially what I'm working with so far. But yeah, so I went to Cal Poly, of course. And so I finished in fall 22, but I walked in spring 23. That's just kind of how it goes. But during my undergrad, I did a couple of things. So after my first year, I got an internship with Toyota as a junior backend developer. So working with like APIs and whatnot. And then during my undergrad, I also was in the Kellogg's Honors College. And with that, got to take certain classes that were more discussion based. And I was definitely involved in CSS as well. I first got involved, it was after my freshman year. So in 2020, I came in as a public relations officer. In 2020, and then I was the vice president in 2021, the year after, and then eventually the president for one semester during the fall 22 semester. And yeah, I also did some research my last semester on a project that was studying the racial bias in computer-aided diagnostic systems using chest x-rays. I did this with Professor Amar Raheja. I was working with him as well as two other grad students. And we were working with the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center and detecting any flaws in machine learning models. So yeah, that's what we were doing. And then lately, what I've been up to is, I already said that I'm a software engineer. I'm working in DevOps specifically. I know, everyone says like, oh, what do you exactly do, at Paramount? But I do DevOps, so a lot of CI/CD practices. So that's what I've been learning. And then I've also recently just started my master's program at USC. So I'm studying artificial intelligence, and yeah, I'm in LA now, and yeah. Things have been going pretty well. Nice to meet you all.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, my name is Aaron Levitt. It's good to meet you all, and it's good to be here. When I was in Cal Poly Pomona, I actually wasn't a computer scientist. I was an electrical engineer, so I wasn't even a part of CSS, but I have been a lot more involved in the club now that I'm an alumni. So I got my bachelor's degree from Cal Poly Pomona in 2021 in electrical engineering. I'm doing my master's right now at Georgia Tech. It's all online, so that's really nice. I'm expected to graduate in 2025. While I was in undergrad, I did a couple of NASA programs. So I have been working at NASA JPL since 2021, but I've been doing stuff with NASA in some form or another since 2019. I first started with this program called NASA Mission Concept Academy. And in that academy, I helped develop a hypothetical probe that would go to one of Saturn's moons called Titan. And then in the next academy that I did, I wrote a proposal that actually is inside of NASA's new technology report system for an onboard AI called React. It was supposed to be on NASA aircraft and spacecraft to help to detect any collisions and to help avoid them. My current experience, I used to work out in Colorado. I used to work for Lockheed Martin Space. I was an electrical engineer there, and then I rotated to being an embedded software engineer. And now at NASA JPL, I'm a full stack software engineer, and I'm the Scrum Master for my team. The two pictures there The first one is JPL has an open source rover, so I got to take a picture of that when we did outreach activity. And then the lower left picture is when I was still out in Colorado with Lockheed Martin. That was the first spacecraft that I worked on. It's currently in orbit right now. It's supposed to go to some asteroids out in Jupiter, so that's really exciting. And then if you want to scan the QR code, that's what I actually do at work because it's a lot to explain, but you can always reach out if you have any questions. It's good to meet you all.
You. I'll give some people some time to scan that. All right.
Store a version control system. That is what Git is. So GitHub is just
Okay.
a
So-
platform that allows you to post.
Sorry, Devin, do you mind muting? It's kind of distracting me. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Charlene, and I'm a data engineer. I graduated really recently this past spring, where I received my bachelor's in computer science, and I also minored in data science. I was also vice president of CSS, but only for a semester, so that was cool. But I wasn't always at Cal Poly. I actually transferred from Citrus College, where I got my associates in computer science and another associates in math. I was recognized as a distinguished student in both those areas. And the reason I mentioned that is because I was not the best student. I only passed Calc 2 because of COVID, but I was still recognized by my teachers because they knew the effort I would put into school. So there's a lesson there. And the lesson is also kind of how networking works. Being visible and people knowing who you are and what you can do can get you just as far, or if not further, in getting opportunities as you would if you were just really smart or a genius. In terms of undergrad experience, I'm a scholar for several organizations, and one of them, I was actually in the same cohort and same team as Aaron. But during the summer before I transferred to Cal Poly, I spent time as a student researcher at Cal State Fullerton. That's where I got really interested in data science, since the work I was doing there involved a grad student's data science research using a generative adversarial network. But last summer, I was a data engineering intern at Avanade, which kickstarted my love for data engineering. And I'm very fortunate because that internship turned into a full-time offer, and that's where I currently work. So for those who don't know, Avanade is a tech consulting company owned by Accenture and Microsoft. I'm in their data and AI practice, which basically means any project involving data or AI I can be tasked with. Right now, I'm tasked with a year-long project where I'm a data platform engineer. And on the side, I'm actually building a Gen AI chatbot for internal use because Microsoft owns part of us and they bought part of OpenAI. So I thought, hey, this is free. I should make use of it. So yeah, that's me. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Your grad picture is so pretty. Okay, next person.
Yeah, sure. I'll follow up all that. Hey guys, my name is Eric Bruns. Yeah, some of you may know me. I started out in 2022 at Cal Poly Pomona, and I recently just graduated last year with a 4.0 GPA with a summa cum laude status. But I didn't always start at Cal Poly Pomona. I also got my associate's degree in computer science at Orange Coast College. But I didn't even start out as a computer scientist at Orange Coast College. When I started at my community college, I actually was a theater major with aspirations to be a voice actor. So shit happened. Sorry for the language. And yeah, I decided that I just thought computer science would be a more secure platform to really make money. So that's what I did. Took my first Java class, ended up loving it, and I just kind of kept passing classes. And I'm here now. I formerly was a CSS member, no officer, sadly, but I'm sure some of you see me around. I was always the guy bringing in board games and stuff because I have a slight board game addiction. But in terms of what I've done as a CS major. I was a full stack software developer for JPL. More specifically, I handled maintaining this website for one of the departments and basically just streamlining it, making sure that the database entries are up to date and all that stuff. Currently, I'm in Colorado, where I've moved last summer, where I'm an early career embedded software engineer for Lockheed Martin SmartSat application infrastructure division. I'm basically just the new guy who's learning all the architecture and all the DevOps and just trying to like get my unit tests to work every day. So nice seeing you all again. Nice meeting you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. I have not seen your new Lockheed pictures. You do not post these. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Garrett Adams. So I originally started out as an econ major, which is obviously very different from computer science. For whatever reason, I thought I was going to become a lawyer. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll become a doctor or something. And then I was like, you know, I've always been interested in computers and things like that. So I ended up doing computer science and graduated in last May. And during my time, I did some research as part of like a NSF RU called Unmanned Aerial Systems. So with that, it was out in Texas, which was pretty interesting, being out there. But we basically use like machine learning and stuff like that for like, you know, UAVs. And then also kind of along the same lines, I was part of the NGCP project, specifically for the UAV. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of that project. It's kind of a more of like an engineering kind of thing, but it's definitely a really big project. I had a lot of fun. Also leading a team was very interesting. And then also, I was a historian and a mentor as part of CSS, which also was a really great experience. And then now I'm an associate software engineer at Pluto TV, which is part of Paramount Plus, or Paramount as a company. You know, they own like a ton of different things. And I joined in last June. And specifically, I work on like the front end for all the devices. So this is like all the different kind of TVs that are out there. So if you ever load up a TV and, you know, the Pluto TV app that's on there, or same thing with the consoles, I work on that. And the team I work on, we kind of do a lot of different things. So some of those things might be like analytics. That's kind of what I've been working on recently. But we also do like CI/CD stuff and a bunch more stuff. Here in the picture on the left, here's a really good photo of me and Kaiten. We look really good here. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll pass it on.
All right. Thank you, Darren.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Edwin. I guess we share a little bit in common in that my undergrad experience has also been kind of all over the place and not really linear. I actually was in the industry way before I even started a computer science degree. I was actually originally an accounting major. First time I was in college, I then decided that would have made my life completely miserable, and opted for anything else. So I went for a business degree, and I did that for a spell. I ended up in the industry after a couple of years of doing freelance. There's web applications to pretty much anyone who would buy them, mostly car dealerships and local businesses. From there, I moved on to Cupertino, where I started in CRC Health Group as a web applications developer. And then I currently serve at Acadia Healthcare as Director of Marketing Technology, overseeing all the web application infrastructure, all the database systems, all the integrations, and a lot of good fun stuff. I've held many different positions in all these companies. I actually was already with Acadia by the time I made it to Cal Poly. Before Cal Poly, I also was at Citrus College, where I transferred over and took it from there. And I am not actually in aerospace, but if you go to the USS Midway in San Diego for about $1, they'll let you sit on the jet if you want to take a cool picture. And yeah, nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Edwin. All right, this is our last speaker here.
Hello, Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, my name's Kenny. I graduated CPP 2021 and CS. Undergrad experience, I had no internships. I wasn't in any clubs. I just had projects of my own. And currently, right now, I'm a software engineer for Walmart. Specifically, the team I work on, we handle like, we're in a sense the payment gateway for the different teams at Walmart. So personally, I've worked on PayPal, EBT, Affirm for a bit, and now credit cards. So like we handle I think this year we're going to handle like 400 billion in transactions, and the code I've written has handled like 100 or something like that. You get a lot of transactions, especially around the holidays. And what I'm up to now is I basically just travel and spend my income on stupid things. That's about it from me.
All right. Thank you, Kenny. So with that, we can start opening up for questions. Let me get this. All right.
That's
So
the life, Kenny.
I'll just start with a question. How was the college to career transition for you guys? It's open for anyone to answer. The 8 of you.
We're done. Like, what is that?
So
Also-
the question was college to career.
The college to career transition.
Okay. Yeah, I mean I can give some thoughts on this, but I'd say it's pretty I'd say relieving because like the college experience is more like I don't really like to say it, but like this is kind of the truth of the reality. Like it's kind of like a lot of paperwork, and it's a lot of like getting you, just like they're throwing a lot of like, like theory and like, a whole bunch of like, various problem solving scenarios at you at the end of the day with all the classes you take. But at the end of the day, it does prepare you for the industry and like, what you're going to be facing sort of just on a if you really look at it like big picture and more so from like a general perspective. But yeah, I mean, you notice like the industry is a lot more applied, and there's a lot of things that you're going to be learning that you did not learn in school, and I thought the transition was it wasn't bad. I was just excited to start joining the industry, working with a lot of these industry professionals and seeing how it operates on the day to day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go
you
ahead.
can go first.
I was just gonna say, like, for me, it was pretty tough. I think like when I graduated and I started looking in last December, it was pretty tough because the market was kind of crashing a little bit. They were laying off people. It's still kind of like that. I think people or like the companies are kind of fearful right now, but I guess that whole period of time when I was like grinding, leak code problems and all that stuff, and like reaching out to people on LinkedIn and all that stuff, it was pretty tough. But I will say, like, once I did get the job and I joined, it's just been very chill. It's nothing like school where it's like you have 10 projects due next week or something like that. So for me, I can't speak for everyone, but for me personally, I really enjoy the work I do, and it's been pretty chill. So, and I think there are certain things that you do learn from class and you do apply that to the actual job. But definitely some of the bigger things is like the experiences that you get out of college. So whether or not you're doing like a personal project, a project in school, an internship, things like that, I think those things will definitely prepare you more for like a job.
Yeah, no, I had to like agree with what Katan said. It's like when you start a new job, it seems like you're still like how much you learn in college. It definitely helps, don't get me wrong. But once I started, I basically was always I was learning a new infrastructure because they have their own ways of doing things and their own systems. And yeah, there are a lot of things that even when you graduate, there's still so much to learn. So never think that once you exit out of college that you're done. No, I would say keep the mind sharp, keep learning as much as you learn. I know Charlene, her LinkedIn's always blowing up with new certifications and all that stuff. So I'm impressed. I'm impressed with that, low key. But yeah, and especially transitioning from my internship to a new job, I thought, oh, I was doing so well in my internship. Oh, this is going to be like chill starting at Lockheed because, I got so much experience with that. But no, the stuff they did at JPL, what I was doing is completely different to what I'm doing now. And now it's I'm at that low level again where I just have to learn more. So I would say, always be prepared, never stop grinding the leak code questions, even when you get the job, because you never know when, like Garrett said, the market is flimsy and you kind of want to keep sharp whenever you got to do new interviews. So I just say, keep it going, never stop.
Yeah, I have to agree a whole lot with what Eric said. My experience is a little bit different because I didn't technically transition from college to career or transition from career to college. And I very much do not recommend going that route. It is extremely stressful and it will take the living soul out of you. That being said, in my experience before, I even started pursuing officially a CS degree, the way I would learn things was by working with other developers. Some of them, their method of, so to speak, mentoring and teaching was, here's a project we're working on. Here's a book on the system that we're doing. Read it and see you in a couple months. I'm like, well, I guess I'm reading this book and learning whatever language this is. And so I did that for quite a bit. And that is very much so how it happens. And it does kind of light a fire under you because, if you don't pick up that book and read it, someone else will. And they'll be more than happy to do that project. So, I'm always one that's very much advocating for never stop learning, never stop pursuing, at the very least, inquire, what's out there. And you see someone doing something different in another company or industry, maybe just give it a thought. Why are they doing it? What's the benefit of this thing?
Yeah, just to kind of add what everybody's saying, I think one thing that's super important wherever you go, and especially while you're still in academia, is trying to find a mentor. A mentor is super important for kind of transitioning you to another stage in your career, academia, or industry. And I remember when I was at my previous company, I made sure to get a lot of mentors because I didn't know what I was doing. And so they were able to help and grow me. And then when I came to my new position at JPL, I did the exact same thing. I wanted to learn as much as I could. And I talked with my direct supervisor, but my boss is busy. So there's always going to be people that are willing to share information for review. It's just trying to find that information. And people are a lot more accommodating than you might think. They're willing to share things. You just need to be willing to ask them. So for me, my transition from academia to industry has been pretty smooth. And that's just because I made sure to surround myself with a really good support network that helped me and wanted to support me throughout my journey from wherever I was. I tell that to my mentees all the time. So if there's any mentees that I know, hello, definitely get a mentor. It's going to be super important. No matter if you're still in school, if you're out of school or anything, it's kind of a lifelong journey trying to learn, and having mentors definitely helps you in kind of cultivating that knowledge.
I guess I'll go next. Yeah, my transition was pretty good. I felt like I might be a bit more, my experience might be a bit more similar to what some students are going through now. Like I graduated without any internships or clubs or whatever, but I did pretty well. Like I studied, understood, and I really grinded my own personal projects. Like I wrote I don't know, like a shoe buying bot. And when I transitioned into my role as software engineer here, I felt like those basics actually really helped out. Like for example, some classes you might not really think about can help out. Like I think I took like intro to like cybersecurity. And for example, once I got here to Walmart, I actually had to learn a bit about networking. Or thinking about the fundamentals, like is it like fundamentals of programming languages? When I came here, I had to pick up some new languages I wasn't really taught. before. I hadn't really learned before, but I feel like that's what school really prepared me for. So that transition wasn't too bad. But I think the biggest transition I had was like the responsibility, because when I got into my new role, I told my manager, give me as much responsibility and then let me drown, or like you get me, let me sink or swim. And he's like, okay, go work on PayPal. And that was my first project. And it was really stressful at times, but it's like really impactful because now I can say, hey, the PayPal, like the code I wrote for, the code we architectured, all that supports US, blah, 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 Canada, and all that.
Yeah, so I don't know if any others wants to go, but I'll also open up that anyone in the room, if you have any questions, this is like an open floor, just like come up and ask them. I'm sorry, can you get up?
With the microphone.
I think it's this.
Hello? Oh, so,
Hello.
yeah. I noticed that some of you are like also pursuing like your graduate degree while also like working your jobs. What like inspired you to do your degree, or and how do you like balance that with working a job?
That's a good question. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure that out. I mean, I just started like a month ago and time has been flying by. But I'll answer your question on why I wanted to do it. And that's because I've always been interested in AI. So like that's the degree I'm going for. So it's a CS with a specialization in AI. And at the end of the day, I want to be like a machine learning practitioner. That's essentially like my goal, right? Employ these, machine learning models in an applied sense. And I was interested even when I joined Cal Poly, even a little bit before. And then as y'all know, this rise in, AI, especially the generative AI, right? The chat GPTs, and whatnot, right? It's being employed a lot, and I want to just keep up with this evolution in technology, right? I feel like I'm still young, I'm still fresh, I'm still in that learning mode. So that's essentially why I wanted to do it. And yeah, with the balance, I mean, I'm only taking one class right now, because it is a 4-unit class and it is a pretty tough class so far. So that's how I'm gauging it right now, and it's been going all right so far. But yeah, that's sort of my motivation to do it, and to pursue that level of study.
I can go next. So I'm doing my master's degree fully remote with Georgia Tech, Go Yellow Jackets. And I chose that for a specific reason. I don't want to commute after work. It takes time out of my day if I wanted to commute to whatever school. So when you guys are picking graduate degrees, be very mindful of what extra time you have to spend whenever, like if you have to commute, that's another like hour or two, depending on where you're going to go. So for me, my degree is completely asynchronous. So I don't have to be at a specific class at a certain time. I just do it on my own time. I only do one class per semester. I can't do anything more than that because I value my work-life balance very, very high. So I don't want to get burnt out. For me, what I actually ended up really enjoying at work is I do a lot of work with the UI UX team here at JPL. And I really like seeing how the code that I write and how people interface with it. And so that's why I'm pursuing my master's degree is user interface and user experience design. So for me, balancing it, it's been a lot because there's been times where I just want to chill after I get off of work, but I have to do school. I normally like to keep a calendar. So I just say I have to do this, this, and this. If you are trying to balance other responsibilities as well, just try to allocate time for that. It's hard, but for me, I want to do this because I think it's important to always be learning. And an ulterior motive for me is that at my work, they substitute a master's degree for years of experience. So it could also lead to a promotion or a raise. So that's also another nice thing too. Usually companies will pay for your master's degree. My company pays for mine, so I don't have to pay anything for it. So if you guys are interested when you come into industry, be looking at opportunities that your company actually offers if you don't have to pay anything for your master's degree.
All said.
Yeah,
I
I
think
forgot to mention my company's doing it too. But yeah, sorry.
No, no, go ahead. Yeah, I think for me, obviously, I don't necessarily have to balance work, obviously, because I'm being a student full time, unlike Keaton and Aaron here. I think for me, I kind of want to, I guess I can talk about the decision process and why I didn't do that. I think for me, I just want to, well, the initial plan was to, get it done in a year. This is my second year at UCLA. But yeah, the plan was to get it done in a year and then find a job after. Like Keaton and Aaron have been saying, right? Your master's degree, it's an opportunity for you to learn. It's an opportunity to, uh, gain more, increase your level of credential, right? So, obviously, the master's, you have another piece of paper on your resume, on your wall, or whatever. Yeah, so I think I'm kind of like similar to Keaton, where I am studying to dive more into machine learning and artificial intelligence and LLMs and the latter, right, and everything else in between, right? So, but yeah, I think yeah, I think it depends, right? So, obviously, Keaton, like Keaton said, right, he's taking one class. So obviously his master's degree is going to take longer, but on the upside, right, he's, Paramount is paying for his education, right? I mean, he's not really in a rush, right? He's getting money on the side. And so that's obviously an upside. Obviously for me, I'm being paid for my research, but, I would be paid for my research if, because I just started, right? So, no company is necessarily paying for my education, right? So yeah, there are things to consider, right? But I do plan to finish, with that in mind, right? As a full-time student, I would finish my degree earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Hi. So my question is around jobs finding journey. So how tough was it for you guys, and how prepared were you when you were like a year away from graduation? And how did you go through all these stress of finding a job and trying to finish school at the same time? If you could share that, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I guess I can go. For me, I graduated with no internships, and like the only thing I really had were my projects. So I hammered down on knowing my projects and the fundamentals really well, but I also did a shit ton of leak code. Like I probably did it like 400 or something, just because when I was graduating too, the market was pretty bad. Like one of my mentors, his buddy was like a hiring director at Microsoft. Within the first month of the new grad app being like released, right, during my fall hiring season, they had 3 times the applicants of the previous total year prior. So like it was just basically a numbers game. I got really good, so any chance I had, I'd still like prove as much as I can, if that makes sense. Like there was that like there was that like OA test for like Roblox and stuff like that. I forget the scores like out of 850, I scored 840 and like sometimes would still get rejected. So it's honestly like a bit of luck, and just if you're given the opportunity, you just excel as hard as you can. That's what I basically did. And it didn't end up too bad for me. I ended up with like 7 offers. Keep in mind, I had no internships, no research, like no clubs. You guys saw my slide. I just went to school and did my own projects.
I'll share my experience because it's kind of opposite for me. So I didn't even know about leak code until I got my very first OA on my junior year. And I was like, what is this? So even though my resume was, I guess, passing the ATS, I would get, the OAs. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. So I kind of focused my direction in networking because I knew I wasn't going to pass the OAs. So I basically network in terms of just, you know, joining clubs, seeing what opportunities are these clubs giving me. I also join a couple of hackathons. If you join hackathons that have like, I guess like really big companies, you could network with the recruiters there. I got a couple interviews when I did a hackathon at Georgia Tech. And then I was also a part of STEM Advantage, and they helped me get interviews with Disney and Reddit and with Avanade. And that's how I was able to kind of like make up for the fact that I was lacking in lead code. And that's because I was putting myself out there and seeing what opportunities are available for me and basically always saying yes to those opportunities.
All right, I'm gonna start my journey with a disclaimer that I am in no ways bragging about this. And whatever you hear from me, just know that working hard really is the key of getting a job. But I would say my experience was kind of lucky in a sense because like I said, I didn't really start out with a lot of background experience. Unlike Charlene, I didn't really know what LeetCode was till I started in Cal Poly, and really I was graduating in 2 years. So I was looking for jobs. I had a few interviews, and when I got these interviews, I was practicing a lot. I would grind what leak code questions I could. And I would take a lot of online courses, a lot of LinkedIn Learning, a lot of Udemy just to like help prep for these interviews, right? And then when I got to these interviews, they were the first interviews, so it was mainly like, oh, let me get to know this person, So I've had so many blue collar jobs that I can handle the personality interviews like that. What really scared me were the tech interviews because I've never really done anything like that before. To my surprise, and this counts for my internship and my full-time career, I actually took no tech interviews. It was literally the first interview that they had, and I was like, okay, well, when are we gonna take the second one? I get a offer in like a week, and I wake up to this, I'm like, wait, what is this? Am I dreaming? So we had someone say, we had someone say, oh, he didn't really do a lot of he didn't really have internships when he left college. He did a lot of leak codes. And then you had Charlene saying like, oh, she took the networking route. I'm here to really say, having a great personality, especially when you're interviewing, knowing how to talk to people, knowing how to really just kind of knowing how to really like be personable, be comfortable, and just like kind of have fun, that can go a long way too, because I like to think that I got my jobs just on sheer personality alone, and I went up against like 50 candidates for each one. And just the fact that I knew barely anything, like on my resume, my projects were just stuff I've done at school. But I always Charlene was sort of my mentor when I was still in school for CSS, and she told me something that I'll always remember is that like when you're applying for jobs, always kind of apply with the delusion of grandeur. Even if you don't think you're qualified, still apply, because you could be lucky like me and you could just get by on personality alone as long as you know the basics of what you're talking about. I would suggest that really look into what a company wants from you, because I've had interviews where where the hiring manager wanted someone who legit knew what he was doing. But I also had interviews where people just wanted people who would learn from them and would like pay attention. I had one guy who interviewed me who told me like, oh, I just want to know, can I work with this guy? I don't care how much he knows. Can I work with him? So again, really so many factors that go into just finding a job. It could be anything. I say try to do your best and networking and being personable and working hard too.
Yeah,
So
I
I'll
have to
kind
agree with
of
that.
Oh, yeah,
I've
go ahead.
actually had interviews that I've completely bombed, and I was told that I bombed it, and I was still offered the job, just uh just on, you know, that click. And it's the other way around too. I also act as the hiring manager for my department. So when I'm interviewing someone myself, I'm not necessarily looking, you know, what I tell everyone when doing like resume reviews and interview preps is by the time you're at an interview, someone has already usually looked at your resume and decided, okay, yeah, this is at least sufficient. Everyone on that list knows, has qualifications, or knows, you know, C or Python or Go or whatever language it is that you're required. But can I actually work with this person? Do we speak in the same language? Do we get along? There's really nothing worse than, you know, having someone who your work, your department depends on, and then it's just someone that nobody gets along with, that is going to result, you know, at worst an HR infraction, and it, you know, it looks, it makes everyone look bad, right? So there's definitely a lot to be said about uh, you know, the personality route being ready. And also, I wanted to add that um, we were doing actually a career development committee at my work, and we were asked to define, you know, how do we see career development? Like, if we have to define it, how do you define like personal growth and success? And one of the definitions that came up was in especially in corporate environments, like timing is big. You know, companies are not always hiring. Opportunities are not necessarily going to be coming, knocking at your door every day, especially if you're not going like networking route. But when those opportunities do come along, how prepared are you to pounce on it and grab it? Because you're not going to be the only one, right? An opportunity comes along, there may be you know, best case scenario, a couple of people reaching for it. For some positions, you have hundreds of applicants. How much work have you been putting in the back end? How much have you been working on your craft to be able to say that, you know, if I'm a developer, if I'm a software engineer, at what level have I been trying to push myself to get there, to the point where I can say, when I see an opportunity, hey, I'm the right person for this, and here's why. And I can say that without hesitation because I can recite all my qualifications at the top of my head. And I think that's also a very important piece, is being prepared. And when the timing comes along, act quickly.
Do we have anyone else that wants to answer it? I know some people have to go to class by now, but so if you do, no worries.
Class.
All right. We could go to another question. We have a question.
So I know a lot of y'all are software engineers. I'm just curious, how important is leak code in an actual job environment?
Not at all.
No,
I've
don't
never
use
used it. Yeah.
We don't
That's the
use leak
interesting
code.
part. I haven't used it, but the concepts I've used, like optimization, trying to understand time complexity. But just because I work in a payment space, we try to reduce the latency as much as you can. So it's all about like you write very optimized code regardless.
I just had to look over code that was ON cubed and I was not allowed to change it. So
That's rough.
there you go. Let that sink in.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I haven't really used it. I think there's general ideas like the optimization, stuff like that. Like the most common thing is just going through like an array or whatever. basic stuff like that. I don't, you're not going to be really working with like linked lists or like anything crazy like that. So yeah, I would say just like the basics and the mediums and the easies from lead code you like actually might use in the job.
Yeah, like for me, the only real experience I had is I once had to prove the time complexity of something to my principal engineer and why my code is performing better than what existing was. But it's not like, oh, trapping rainwater, go do trapping rainwater, right? But it's just the same idea of like, okay, I can at least calculate time complexity. I had to understand like Java's function itself well, like the built-in things, I actually understand how it works it at the low level. But I think that's the only real time like you're not gonna really use leak code at a job. Like odds are no one's gonna tell you to go build a try. Like why would you do that? Like yeah.
There's a saying.
Thank you.
There's a saying I have, and I'm sure half of the panel, or even more, might agree with me that once you get a job, you're basically professional Googlers, and you're just going to be Googling most of your time.
Yeah.
ChatGPT or Stamp.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah,
now,
ChatGPT.
there's GitHub Copilot now too. I've been using a little bit of that in my job. It's pretty cool. I like it. Speeds up productivity. So I mean, yeah.
All right, I don't know if we have time for another question because we do have to clean up for the next class in here. But thank you all for coming out and speaking. Well, not really coming out, but like joining Zoom and speaking. Thank you. Oh, boo, why would you? Okay. Thank you guys.
My signature for the end.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. It was nice seeing you.
You guys. Take care.
Guys, feel free to reach out to me.
Thanks for having
Bye,
us,
Ethan.
guys.
Yeah,
I see
they
you over
should
there.
still be in the
Bye.
Discord, I think. But
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Y'all have a good one. All
thank
right.
you.
I'm out.
Yeah.
thank